Oh, hi. How you do? What's up, everyone? How you do? How's it going? Life decided that I needed to work on other things all day today. And then just chill for way too long. So we've got, what, an hour? To go ahead and quickly knock out this podcast. So this is going to be a challenge. But I think we can do it. I think we can do it. We can't do it. There's no hope. Also, wait a second. I just had to toss in. Oh, right. That's what I just had to toss in. Computer on fire, podcast delayed. All right. If my computer was on fire, there'd be no podcast. I would instead be in a corner. And just like that's it. It's all over. I think that'd be my breaking point. No rant can do. No, there has to be a rant. OpenAI is in the news. There has to be a rant. It's like the law. How many pages? 78. I mean, what? Actually, how many are there? How many stories do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Not too bad. I think we can. I think we can. It's going to be tight. Way tighter than you think. 3, 2, 1. Comment today on Eagle Eyes on Tech. OpenAI was rejected by NVIDIA regarding an investment. Microsoft is panic fixing Windows. It's about time. The UK is suing Steam for price fixing. A new quickest collapse in gaming has occurred. And no, Nintendo does not have hentai games on the Switch. All that and more coming today on Eagle Eyes on Tech. Three, two, one. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Northway. I'm going to write this on Tech. I am Eagle Falcon. We got quite a bit to talk about today because, of course, the news can't just chill for a week. I would have thought, actually, with the amount of real news that happened during the week, the tech news would have just chilled out a little bit. Just a little. Just calm down a little bit. No, it really didn't. It really didn't. We gotta start off actually with this bit of concern in the streaming space. I want to talk about the alert system I use. Yeah, Stream Elements is in the news after starting up a donation campaign to keep their core services 100% free for all their creators. Now, I don't fault them for wanting to go ahead and keep the lights on, all right? But this does scream to all their users, the actual streamers that use their services, that this is a massive yikes. So for those who don't know within the streaming space, there's basically two major players when it comes to streaming services. There's a bunch of little mini niche ones, like there's Blurp that does sound effects. There's like, I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. I know there's one that did like that had like gotcha trading cards or something like that that you could do for digital alerts. But for the most part, core services like live stream alerts, live stream analytics, and general interactive ability on streams pretty much has been exclusively done by Stream Elements and Streamlabs. Streamlabs has since been bought by Logitech and is very, very, very heavily monetized, and quite frankly, for the services they provide, it's not that great a quality. Stream Elements is more of a almost every single bit of the core features are free. In fact, the only place where you can find them accepting any money at all is actually in sponsorships, which is also why they push streamers to take sponsorships so hard. In fact, I'd be taking more sponsorships from them personally if it weren't for the fact that all the sponsorships are of terrible mobile games that I don't want to support and don't want to push onto other people. So you kind of got a weird spot in that regard. And of course, Stream Elements and Streamlabs both have staff. They do have a payroll they have to keep maintaining. They do have rent. They do have server upkeep to keep. So, I mean, their services do cost them money to keep running. So I don't fault Streamlabs for charging what they charge. I do think they charge a bit too much, though, for my taste, especially for the quality that you get. But if now Stream Elements is going around holding out a collection plate for donations to maintain themselves running, what kind of signal does that send to all the other streamers that use their services? That either A, drastic change has to happen, and they're going to have to introduce some sort of major pay scheme to keep afloat, or they go under. Those are basically the two options. So, I mean, I do wish them luck. I do prefer Stream Elements system to Streamlabs. With that also being said, I am kind of low-key in the background looking at what it would take to switch back to Streamlabs, or if there is a third option out there that I just haven't discovered. But I mean, yeah, it's not a pretty looking picture. Honestly, I do hope that Stream Elements can pivot and find a better option for payments. I mean, realistically, I just hope that I would not mind them trying to do the sponsorship route if they just have sponsors that aren't mobile games. Like, that's all I'd ask for. It's just a real shame that that's just all it is. It's just bottom tier mobile games for sponsorship options. And on top of that, if you don't know, Stream Elements also does provide a lot of other services in the streaming community. Like, do you know on Twitter the Streamer Bans account? The one that keeps track of Twitch partners that have been banned? Yeah, that's powered by Stream Elements. And let's be honest, you didn't know that either. And I didn't know that either until the streamer ban's account went ahead and posted the exact same donation drive and revealed that, yes, they are powered by Stream Elements. So here's hoping they can keep afloat and keep things running. But I do recommend that if you are a streamer, have a plan B. Because you don't want to get caught with your pants down in this case. It's embarrassing, as being caught without your pants usually is. It's also pretty embarrassing to get a lawsuit from Spotify for $13 trillion. Wait, what? Yeah, Spotify is suing Anna's Archive for $13 trillion because Anna's Archive has an archive of almost all of the world's commercial sound recordings. The logic here is the fact that that a lot of this was skimmed from Spotify, and thus Spotify says that this has caused they don't like it. They don't like it. So they're just going to go ahead and sue for all the money in the world. Good luck with that. And try to get Anna's Archive to settle for literally anything. I think that's how this is going to end up going. Because you're not going to get any court in existence to try and say, oh yeah, this is definitely worth they're saying roughly $151,000 per file is what they're saying over here at NME, where this article is coming from. I don't see a court agreeing that a file of like, say, a bird chirp is gonna fly. Someone in chat asked, are these commercial sounds public domain or no? No. If they were public domain, the headline would be, Spotify is stupid enough to try and sue for files they don't own. Because everyone loves to point and laugh at Spotify. And Universal Music. And every other record label that's behind Spotify. So no, I have to assume, I admit, I haven't looked into like the details of all 10 quadrillion files they're trying to sue over, or however many it actually is. But if there was public domain, it'd be like, no. No. We'll have to wait and see how that all goes for them. We'll see. Meanwhile, though, TikTok. At some point, TikTok actually did officially get bought. I don't know how I missed it. I apologize for that. But TikTok USA is now officially owned by sketchy individuals. I mean, respectable individuals and corporations that you totally can trust now in the US. Also, a lot of people are saying that everything that TikTok is now infinitely worse because you can't search for Epstein, even though I'm fairly certain you couldn't search for Epstein before. But in any case, the one thing that you can actually confirm is being done now is that TikTok is now quietly expanding its location tracking as well as their ad targeting for US users. Most likely because now that TikTok doesn't have has the purse strings of all of China, TikTok now has to go ahead and earn a profit for both itself and its new corporate overlords. Now, are you ready for the hottest take ever? Are you ready for the hottest take ever? My opinion of TikTok has not changed at all. I think it's still a terrible site. I didn't think it was gonna change at all based on whether it was owned by, you know, the Chinese state government or a bunch of schmucks. It didn't matter who had it. Lo and behold, the algorithm just is just the way TikTok is. The core point of TikTok is to keep you on TikTok. All it is a massive pile of dreck that it continues to just feed you over and over again. Did I think that TikTok was some sort of massive propaganda tool? It could be. But I kind of doubt there's going to be a whole lot of propaganda being spread through TikTok when most of the crap that was going through TikTok was idiots dancing to the numbers 6, 7 and making a fart sound with their mouth. The quality of TikTok has always been pretty bad. And then on top of that, because the actual method of using TikTok is unlike any other social media, like people have been calling TikTok a social media. Since when? When has it ever been a social media platform? It has been a feed. It is like calling channel surfing a social media platform. So now, I've just been sitting on the sidelines watching, just eating popcorn. Right now, I'll tell you what. When it was owned by China, nothing I posted ever had gotten views. I got views for a bit. Now I've been shadow banned for I don't know why. But guess what? Now that it's owned by a US entity, guess what? Nothing still gets views on TikTok for mine. I don't care. And as far as I can see, there's not a noticeable difference. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, there's of course going to be people that's just like, oh, well, I really want to see, like, someone in chat asked, have you tried Fortnite dancing? I still have some self-respect. Not much, but I have some left. Also, isn't every dance now in Fortnite? Someone in chat says play Fortnite Monopoly on TikTok. You know, maybe that's my problem right there. So yeah, things are changing on TikTok, but good luck. Good luck finding any of it. I don't know. I think the whole thing with TikTok is a little overblown, but who knows? Maybe I'll be proven wrong. We'll have to wait and see. But for now, I think a whole bunch of people are just kind of overreacting the status of TikTok, or maybe are just now realizing, wow, it kind of did suck. You know what else is realizing? You're going to love this one. NVIDIA has made a realization. Speaking of realizations, NVIDIA has realized that OpenAI is not responsible with their money. What a crazy concept. So, for those who don't understand what I'm talking about, all right, we need to talk about, of course, AI. Now, if you don't know, AI can only function with massive data centers, except it can function locally, but we're not going to talk about that because the big companies don't want to do local AI because they want all the control in their massive data centers so that they can have massive data centers. All right. Basically, these big tech corporations that are doing AI research just want big shiny toys with big shiny racks of computers because it looks kind of pretty, to go ahead and suck up all the power and honestly a tiny amount of water compared to the amount of power they suck. I still think we're kind of mismatching that whole thing, but I digress. And they're just trying to expand more and more and more data centers so that they can go ahead and feed the giant AI machine. Okay. Now, OpenAI and a number of other big AI companies have gone ahead and purchased so much components, so much of the global stock of components to build these data centers that it has caused a massive computer component shortage, mostly in the form of RAM. In fact, 70% of the world's production of RAM is going to feed AI. And a large chunk of that is actually pre-bought by OpenAI on debt. Now, I want you to remember that, on debt, because OpenAI actually does not turn a profit. It has not turned a profit in a while. In fact, there are some estimates that show that OpenAI may be on track to lose $23 billion per year. It is turning over such a bad loss. In fact, the way it's currently going, OpenAI is actually on track to go bankrupt in the middle of 2027. Now, I want you to remember that all of this equipment from almost all of these from all these AI companies is being bought on debt. When they can't pay off that debt, that means this massive industry, this AI industry, that just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, all of a sudden people are going to realize, oh, there's no money to be made in this massive bubble of money, and it's just going to pop. We might be seeing the first sign of the bubble popping here. The fact that NVIDIA, one of the biggest people to benefit from these massive AI data centers going up, is refusing to invest $100 billion into OpenAI, saying that they lack discipline. We're finally starting to see some of the cracks beginning to form. Now, I want to stress something here real quick, okay? The bubble popping is going to be bad. It is going to send shockwaves across the global economy that is going to be felt not just here in the US, but as the term global economy implies, across the globe. But the thing is that this bubble needs to pop sooner rather than later. Because we cannot go ahead and have most forms of production be held up so that AI companies can go ahead and make slop videos slightly faster as they continue to rapidly approach the diminishing returns limit. So this actually might be some good news. Because you want to have this bubble pop when it's the smallest it can be, which really should have been a couple of years ago. Now it's a pretty big bubble. But it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And right now, this RAM shortage is affecting everything. Not just that new computer you want to build, but it's interfering with the production of other machines. It is affecting basically every other form of business out there. Because in one way or another, everything we do is computerized. Everything we use to one extent or another has some form of a computer in it, other than, a pen or, something very simple like that. But like your car has a computer in it. An industrial grade laundry mangler has a computer in it. A cash register has a computer in it. Your phone is a computer. Just about everything uses a computer in some way, shape, or form. No, chat, your Chromebooks still don't exist. Chromebooks are dead. We're actually gonna talk about Chromebooks later, but they're still dead. So yeah, the sooner we get this over with, the better off we're all gonna still be. So says the guy who, I'm not gonna lie, my economics teacher was actually pretty bad. So I mean, you shouldn't take economic advice from me, but I know the basics. Meanwhile, though, more news regarding more shortages has, in fact, lo and behold, all of the high-end NVIDIA cards have gotten more expensive, to the shock of, well, basically no one. Yeah, no one's truly surprised by this. All the NVIDIA cards are getting more and more expensive. Like, it's getting to the point where now almost all of them have either doubled in price or have tripled in price since their launch. You want to talk about the strangest things? If you could find a buyer, buying GPUs and RAM would have been the smartest investment you could have made last year. Heck, I still have 32 gigs of RAM sitting over there. 32 gigs of DDR5. The price of those suckers has increased by 600% since I bought them. That's just the insane world we live in right now. This is just where we're at right now. Just everything is just far, far, far more expensive. As far as the parts that haven't become expensive, I don't know what's going to happen to them. I do wonder, when all the dust clears in the PC building space, how many small component makers are going to survive? Like, think about it. If you're a computer case manufacturer, your sales require people to want to build computers. Nobody can build computers because the most expensive components in their computer is now the RAM at $1,000 and the GPU at probably also $1,000 for a mid-entry part. And these parts would have cost you $600 total not long ago. We'll have to wait and see, but I do hope that other small component makers can just survive. Someone in chat asked, when does the computer in my Mangler need to be replaced? Fortunately, at my work, our Mangler is manual. It does not use a computer. It uses very, very analog controls. One last story before we get to our first break. Google Fiber is still real. It still does exist. And I wish it would go ahead and move into my neighborhood. Please, 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 please. And they are upgrading themselves to the point where it needs to come to my house right now. Because the new default for Google Fiber is going to be 3 gigabits symmetrical. Before it started at, I think it was either like 500 meg symmetrical or 1 gigabit symmetrical. Now the starting speed is 3 gigabits symmetrical, up and down. There are businesses that wish they could get that kind of speed. And here's what's even crazier. Now, I don't know how much of an asterisk is next to these. They actually don't have an asterisk next to any of these, but Google is saying for Google Fiber Core is 3 gigabits symmetrical. That is $70 a month. Google Fiber Home is 5 gigs a month for $100 a month. And Edge is 8 gigabits per month for 8 gigabits symmetrical for $150 per month. Let's ignore Home and Edge for a moment. Dude, $70 a month for 3 gigs symmetrical, I'm in. Everyone now hearing this news. When is this coming to my area? When is this coming to my area? All I can do is just say, man, I hope soon. I really do hope soon. Especially as someone who uploads and downloads content on a regular. And also has plenty of plans for his home rack. Oh man, I would love those kinds of speeds. It'd be fantastic. We're going to take our first break here. When we come back, I want to talk about Microsoft desperately realizing they need to change course in what they're doing. Don't go anywhere. We will be back. What could I be doing that requires 3 instead of 1 gigabit? I'd be happy with 1 gigabit. Like right now, I theoretically should have 1 gigabit down. The problem is that my up is absolute dog shit. Like my up is something like 25. Which is enough for me to stream to both Twitch and YouTube and have a little bit of breathing space. But if there's anything that also tries to happen at the same time, that's it. Like I'd like to be able to go ahead and also stream to Twitter and any other platform that looks tempting. Just because you have that simulcasting ability. But we can't. On top of that, I can't go ahead and say upload the podcast as I'm while I'm streaming. I have to wait until pretty much the dead of night to upload the podcast. Similar thing with uploading any sort of YouTube videos. But yeah, it's pretty much exclusively the upload speeds that are the problem. Just getting something set up in the background here so that when we're done with podcast, we're just diving straight in. There we go. But yeah, I can't think of many people that would look at Google Fiber and go, oh God, no, not this again. Did I look at your top? Which one do you have? Oh yeah, no, I have that. Wait, why is this light still lit? That was weird. The like bleep button was still lit. There wasn't like a long bleep that I couldn't hear, right? There was just the little bleeps I heard like right now when I did. Okay. Why was that lit? That was so bizarre. Everything else is fine, right? Does this work? Can I continue to say AI? All right, yeah, it looks like we're fine. That was weird. I need to get a haircut. All right, 3, 2, 1. Well, I don't know which one to pick. What do I pick? No, I know what I'm gonna pick. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. In other news, Intel has let the review embargo lift on their new Core Ultra Series 3 laptops. So now you too can not afford a new laptop because the cost of RAM is prohibited. So I mean, does it really matter how good they are? I mean, look, it does look pretty promising that Intel is kind of sort of getting their act together. It is a step in the right direction. You know, good on you, Intel. You managed to not completely poop the bed. You know, big steps forward for you. I'm happy for you. I'm not going to buy one, mostly because I don't have the money and RAM costs, you know, actually I have to get a price check on my kidneys to see which kidney would get me some RAM. That'd be the more important thing right there. Microsoft, on the other hand, they've had problems. Windows 11 has had a lot of problems. And let me tell you, anyone that is running older systems that can't run Windows 11 and are still running Windows 10 out of necessity, whoo boy, they are so happy. Holy smokes. Those guys are so happy right now. Between the system updates that prevent you from shutting down in certain circumstances, never wake up from suspend, have items completely vanish off the start menu. There was the one time that the task manager would not actually load and would be invisible upon booting up, as well as a massive laundry list that I have no prayer of knowing offhand. But it's okay, because Windows is now coded by AI, and that makes it better. And we're also incorporating all kinds of AI features into Windows, so it must be better, right? You're going to stick with Windows 11 and not switch to a Penguin, right? Right? Yeah, about that. People are finding any excuse to ditch Windows 11 because it is absolutely an unusable mess. And now Microsoft is literally panicking, promising, jumping up and down that they are going to go ahead and fix everything and all the performance issues and all of this and all the other thing. They're going to fix it. They're going to win back our trust on Windows 11. So everything's fine, right? Right? Microsoft's never been bad on their word. Windows 11 is going to be fixed very soon, right? Right? How many of you actually trust them? Like, I don't want to sound like some sort of crazy person here, but we're coming on to 6 months of Windows saying they are going to fix game performance bugs on Windows 11. And right now, Windows 11 is still being beaten by Linux when it comes to gaming support. Windows, you're being beaten out by Gabe Newell's janky Switch competitor. His janky Switch clone is beating out Windows 11 in efficiency. Like, we've gone over these hills before, right? XP was good, Vista was bad. 7 was pretty good, 8 was bad. Windows 10, last operating system you need, it was good, then it started becoming bad as it was becoming more and more bloated with you know, spamware and trying to go ahead and advertise you for all these wild services. And quite frankly, more and more people are getting fed up. You had one core job. Like, that's the thing. Windows users were willing to tolerate the problem of Windows as long as you were a good enough operating system. And Microsoft is finally realizing, oh, we're not good enough. We're not a stable platform anymore. Not only are people threatening to leave for Linux, they are leaving for Linux. So yeah, I'd believe them if it weren't for the fact that they promised to fix game compatibility and game efficiency, and they haven't. All they have done since then was just make it so that my older computer was now obsolete. Thanks, Microsoft. Thanks for that. I'm going to go ahead and do literally anything else. Maybe actually look at what it takes to get a big workstation 100% compatible with Linux. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Let's get to some gaming news instead. How about that? Google is showing off their Project Genie, which is a massive AI engine that will go ahead and create video games just from prompts. And by video games, I mean an interactable world that does not have a goal. So it's not actually a game at all. Actually, it's more like very early MMOs. There's probably an MMO that doesn't have a combat system in it, right? They made Alpha Minecraft. Now, of course, the demos look fantastic. Okay? The demos they go ahead and show off look great because that's how all of these AI things work. They go ahead and show their best results and don't show the massive amounts of hallucination and errors that also come from this, because why would you? It's also why I have massive trust issues whenever any AI company says that AI is going to go ahead and do everything I ever wanted. Because it turns out by doing everything I ever wanted, they mean frustrate me to the point where I should have just done it myself. So I'm not going to say that this is a massive game changer. It's a neat demo, but it did cause almost every gaming company's stock to drop as apparently no thought investors believed that every single video game developer is soon going to be out of a job because AI is going to do it for them instead. Which, no. No, it will not. You know, A for effort, though. We'll have to see how things evolve. But considering that, you know, how things normally advance with this sort of stuff, I wouldn't count on it being crazy effective. In other gaming news, though, Valve is being sued. And this is what I love, okay? Valve is being sued in the United Kingdom in a class action lawsuit for $656 million Doctor Who dollars for unfair Steam games store prices. The gaming giant, according to the BBC, is being accused of abusing its market dominance by imposing restrictive terms on game publishers and locking players into using Steam, the world's largest distribution platform for PC gaming. The legal action was being brought by the digital rights campaigner Vicky Shotbolt in 2024 on behalf of 14 million Steam users across the UK who could be in line for compensation if she wins. Basically, the claim is that Valve is flexing its muscles to make sure that no one can undercharge what game prices are on Steam, which is true. That is a thing that Steam does. But also that if you go ahead and get DLC on Steam, you can only use it on Steam. So first off, the only restriction that Valve puts on your pricing is that developers can go ahead and price their game however much they want. But if they charge it for less anywhere else, like let's say I go ahead and put HWS. I have a game called HWS. You go figure out what it means on Steam. I sell it for $10 because I'm stupid. And I decide to put it on sale on a different platform for $5. I can't do that. If I put it on sale somewhere else for $5, I have to also put it on sale on Steam for $5. However, if I do a campaign where I give away 5 copies, that does not apply to the Steam version. That's still fine. Or if I give a coupon out for a different platform that says, you know, first however many copies of that redeem this code get the game for 50% off because another platform supports that sort of thing, that does not apply to Valve's case. So here's the question. Do you think Valve is within their rights to go ahead and say Yeah, if you're going to have a sale somewhere else, you have a sale on Steam too, please. I mean, honestly, that's, in my opinion, that's fine. That might be the only thing you could try and make a legitimate argument that Valve is actually trying to throw their muscle around, because any other thing that Valve does has a very obvious reason to it. You can't go ahead and buy DLC on Steam and do it for something else. Of course, Steam is a DRM service. That was its core function, to be anti-theft. So of course they're going to make sure you have to use it on Steam. That's part of the DRM. This whole lawsuit just reeks of trying to make a quick buck, and I don't think she has a case. The fact that it even got out of a tribunal tribunal ruling and is even going to case is insane. You are not going to get 656 million pounds. Oh, I'm sorry, Doctor Who dollars. That's Looney Tunes. That is an absolute insane number. And quite frankly, with how much money Gabe and Steam has, they're either going to settle for a significantly smaller amount, or B, just say, no, we're fighting you on this. Or hear out what would make them happy. Because Valve might, you know how like most of the time when we look at monopolies, we say this is the worst thing ever because it means they have total control. Valve is the only exception. I think Valve might be the only company that has a virtual monopoly in a space, and instead of absolutely flexing their muscle and milking it for all it's worth and just printing money hand over fist, they still go ahead and just continue to be the good guy, continue to develop, make good features, make sure their platform is the best as it is to maintain their dominance, and just continue to casually make all the money in the world. And it's worked really well for them. Heck, in PC gaming, they're pretty much the only gold standard we tolerate. It's not on Steam, I'm not going to get it. This is all there is to it. It's wild. It is wild. Ubisoft, on the other hand, is in major trouble. Ubisoft is cutting roughly 18% of its workforce in their France headquarters as they're about to do a major reset. So let's go over this in very quick detail. Ubisoft is in trouble. Ubisoft cannot seem to get out of its own way. They are continuing again and again and again to release game that is a massive flop after flop after flop after flop after flop. And they just can't seem to get out of the hole they're dug in. So yeah, they're going to be doing massive firing. They're going to be going ahead and trying to find any way to salvage themselves, because quite frankly, the way they're running right now, their only hope is to be bought. That's it. That is their only hope. It is to, in fact, be bought and then get out of the mess they're in. That's pretty much it. That's all they got. So we'll have to see what the rest of their plan involves. So far, it just means 200 people lose their jobs. In the meantime, we have to wait and see. That's nowhere near as bad, though, as this insane game. I want you to imagine something. A game was in development by some former talent of EA. Okay? Some developers of Titanfall going ahead and working on a new project. And they want to go ahead and launch the game quietly and have it be a sleeper hit. Then the Game Awards come around. And these devs are given a chance to be advertised for free because the spot that was used, that was going to go ahead and go into an ad spot, bailed out the last second. And it turns out that spot was the final trailer spot before the Game of the Year was announced. And then someone went ahead and took the offer. Your game is announced out of nowhere in the biggest advertising spot there ever was. And everyone said, I don't know, it looks kind of mid. And then you go silent. And then your launch date comes. And only then do you finally announce that you're going up. That is what happened with the game High Guard. High Guard basically followed the story I just mentioned. They are a team shooter game, because of course they are. And the only advertising they had was the Game Awards. They didn't even do free advertising on social media. The game launches, 97,000 players on Steam go and try it out, and it turns out the game was just not good. The elements that were new, that were introduced, were not that interesting. The maps were too big, the comps were too bland, and it had the sharpest fall off in Steam history. Gaming journalists are looking at it going, maybe it's a bit too early for this. Maybe we're too harsh on this game. Someone in chat asked how much it is. Oh, that's the best part. This is free to play. It's free to play and people don't want to play it. Now, who knows what could have happened if they went their original plan? Maybe if they never got the advertising at the Game Awards, they would have been better off. They would have had a softer launch. People could have grown onto it. It could have grown slowly. Maybe it would have just died as a whimper. No one had ever known about it. Who knows? Someone in chat says this goes to show how oversaturated the team shooter genre is. It goes to show what I think you really need to do in order to break into the into the team shooter genre or the hero shooter genre. You need to listen to the players. Because these guys made one of the same mistakes that that Concord made. One of the biggest complaints I heard, the maps are too big and you can't find anyone. That's one of the biggest mistakes Concord made. All you had to do to avoid that is look at Concord, the previous most famous failure in the hero shooter genre, and just not do that. That's all you had to do. Well, good luck. Good luck with that, High Guard. Someone in chat asks, does it have a play of the game thing? I have no idea. Honestly, that was like one of the most fun things about Overwatch back when I played Overwatch. Now it's just like, eh. Meanwhile, though, another MMO is dead. MMORPG Ashes of Creation has seen their CEO resign and everyone has been terminated, and the entire game looks pretty dead. Pretty dead. This is after the game raised over $3 million in Kickstarter backings. But here's the thing. The statement says that if Ashes of Creation does not launch, we promise to refund backers in full. That was one of the things they promised on Kickstarter. Guess how they're getting out of refunding all $3 million? Take a guess. Well, actually, if you're watching the video version right now on Spotify or live, well, you already know. They launched in early access in December. They went ahead and just shipped out whatever garbage they had ready and then said, yeah, we good, did it, GG, I'm out. What a cop-out. What a cop-out. And I hope it's a valuable lesson in trying to back long projects like this on Kickstarter. What can you do? What can you do? Now I have one more hilarious saga in gaming. This is great, okay? So, there's a big Telltale-like game out there. It's not by Telltale. It's by a studio called AtHoc. Okay? The game is called Dispatch. All right, but it's basically a choose-your-own-adventure, very cinematic, very story-driven, episodic game. Very similar to all your Telltale games from the past. Okay. Dispatch wants, of course, to get out on as many platforms as possible. So they're launching on the Switch. Here's the fun thing, okay? The Switch, of course, markets itself as a family console. Dispatch does have nudity in the game. You do have the option built into it to censor that nudity, which in some sections is really, really funny. Okay. Now, in order for Dispatch to be on the Switch, they had to enable the censorship mode on by default, the text censorship by default, as well as the audio censorship. So swears are bleeped. Any curse words on the screen are blackbarred. Any nudity is blackbarred. Any of that is, automatically censored. You cannot turn this off on the Switch. Now, I personally saw this and went, okay, yeah, I'm not surprised. I wish Nintendo wouldn't. I wish they'd go ahead and look at it and say, if it's a kid's account, don't let them play it. That sort of thing. But I get it. Personally, though, I would recommend getting this for the PC anyway. That's just me, though. Here's where things get really funny. Because this sparked a whole thing. Because people are saying, why is Dispatch censored on the Nintendo Switch when the Nintendo Switch has hentai games on it? To which anyone who owns a Switch would immediately jerk their neck and go, what? There's no hentai games on the Switch. What are you on about? And this became the narrative. Nintendo forces Dispatch to be censored on the Switch, but they have pornographic hentai games on the Switch. Oh my God. And here's the best part. There are games with the word hentai on the Switch marketplace. There is nothing pornographic or even mildly tantalizing about any of it. They're all $1 to $2 shovelware puzzle games. And most of them have AI generated images. There's no adult games on the Nintendo Switch except, and this is the best argument that people have for Dispatch being censored being kind of BS. There is one game that does have nudity in it that is on the Switch. And that's Cyberpunk 2077. That's it. And you know what? it wouldn't surprise me at all if on the Switch version there was just like an option toggled on to just force it to be censored and just nobody's talking about it. I don't know. I don't have Cyberpunk 2077 for the Switch 2, so I can't go ahead and test it. So yeah. I like Dispatch. I would recommend, if you haven't played it already, you go play Dispatch. Don't get it on the Switch or the Switch 2. Go get it on literally anything else. A potato runs Dispatch. You don't need some crazy high-end hardware to run it. If you have a functional laptop or a desktop or I assume an Xbox would run it, but I don't know why you'd have an Xbox. PS5 runs it. PS4 probably runs it as well. I mean, just don't get on the Switch. The Switch, when push comes to shove, is marketed as a family console. Until they go ahead and figure out some sort of way to maintain that image, but still let, more graphic stuff be on its platform, it's best to think of it that way. And honestly, they really should go ahead and ponder that. You have the ability on the Switch to make kit accounts. Ramp up your user account services, that sort of stuff, and you're off to the races. I'm disappointed in what Nintendo has done, but I'm not surprised. Now, the best part about this whole thing, besides the fact that people now believe that hentai games are on the Switch when there aren't any, is the fact that Adhog, geez, why did I try injecting a G in there? Jesus. Adhok said that they had to work closely with Nintendo to make sure that the game got launched on the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo says that they didn't work at all with Adhok to go ahead and make this happen. Adhok just went ahead and followed the guidelines they said for all games to be on their platform, which is probably correct. But it's funny that you now have two contradicting statements from these two to cause more friction where there really shouldn't be any. Crazy people. Absolutely crazy people. Oh, by the by, there are in fact some new pictures of laptops running Aluminum OS. That is the replacement for Chrome OS out in the wild. So we might be seeing our Chromebook replacement coming soon. We don't know the details of it yet, but just remember, because I feel like I'm doing a public service by doing this. Don't buy a Chromebook. Chromebooks are dead. They are being replaced by systems running Aluminum OS. Is Aluminum OS good? I don't know yet. Nobody knows anything yet other than people working on Aluminum OS. But right now, all I can tell you is that if you have to get a Chromebook, get a used one. They're dirt cheap. Assuming that nobody cannibalized them for their RAM. Don't buy a new Chromebook. You shouldn't be making that big of an investment on something that is obsolete. And also, I really hate saying Aluminum OS. It just doesn't roll off the tongue. Go ahead, try to say it. Try saying Aluminum OS. Aluminum OS. And you try to tell me that it doesn't feel like your tongue is running down the stairs. I just got you to say Aluminum OS for no reason. You just went ahead and tried it yourself. I like how people are now in chat trying to tell me how to pronounce aluminum. And let me tell you something. It's going to be called Tin OS if it turns out to be any more of a disappointment. It's going to be called Foil OS. You know what else? You know what else is also worth about as much as tin? My reliability. Or actually, I messed it up. I don't know what my whole thing was going to be. The point is that Tesla is sunsetting the Model S and Model X. So if you enjoyed the fact that the Tesla model spelled out sexy in leet speak, I got bad news for you. Pretty soon it's going to spell out A. And that's it. So the expensive models of the sedan and the slightly bigger sedan, I am not calling the X a crossover. The best thing it had going for it was the gull wing doors. Are now both about to be going away. And probably my biggest gripe about the whole thing is the fact that this also means the last two remaining vehicles that Tesla sells that actually has a dashboard are going to be gone. Or not a dashboard, but a gauge cluster. So, good job. This is all because Tesla wants to focus more on making their robots. So, there's that. Someone in chat says the Cybertruck is still there. The Cybertruck does not have a gauge cluster. Of all the Cybertruck still is the worst Tesla vehicle to buy. It's not a good pickup truck because it doesn't have the range or the towing range that a pickup truck needs. It's not a very good car because it's so massive. It's not a very good, cruiser because it is so big and bulky. It's not a good APC because even though the sides are stainless and the glass is still regular tempered glass, and the actual metal on the roof and the sidings is just thin strips glued on to a frame. So, it's not even good for that if you want to go get a Cybertruck as a police vehicle. Like, I've gone over this with the Cybertruck again and again and again. There is not one thing the Cybertruck does that it's the best at. Other than being the best mass-produced low poly vehicle on the market. No other vehicle out there looks like it was rendered on a Super Nintendo, quite like the Cybertruck. It's got me there. It's got me there. So yeah, a little disappointed. Tesla's discontinuing their S and X cars, arguably their two best cars in the lineup, though the most expensive, all in favor for their robots that are not ready for prime time yet. Tesla, why? Samsung is going to be selling their new trifold phone. Now, I'm going to be honest here. All right. I like this phone. Okay. It's very eye-catching. It's got all the safety mechanisms to make sure that you're folding it correctly. It unfolds the size of a tablet. The main screen, when it is folded up, just feels like using a normal phone. It's fast. It has plenty of battery life. It is fantastic. And it's going to start being available now. In fact, it went on sale, available January 30th. What's the catch? $2,900. Well, that screen scratch is easy anyway, so I don't feel like I need to go ahead and spend that kind of money for a phone like that. And the camera on the inside's kind of off, and there's no telephoto I can't get a case on it easy, and yeah. I'm not gonna lie though, that reaction I just had basically describes every single tech journalist, because everyone wrote glowing praises of this phone. Oh my god, it's the first foldable phone that could be good. It's the one that makes the most sense. Oh, the form factor and the screen ratio is just perfect. I see the price. Well, this camera sucks. And all the rationality and all the flaws that you were willing to overlook earlier now are just first and foremost. To be fair, they are valid criticisms. That's the interior screen, the big tablet sized one, does scratch crazy easily. And for $3,000 on a phone, that's insane. So, yeah, personally, as cool and as eye-catching as the fold phone would be, I'm good. I'm good. You go ahead, Samsung. You go ahead and continue to have the record for the most expensive phone in the world that is mass-produced and isn't a one-off or a scam. And I'm going to go ahead and continue to use normal phones. Like this one here with a burnt-in section in the screen. It still works. And it costs less than that one. Take that. And finally, I bring you to the last burb, the last story, the weirdest story of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, a man was kept alive for 2 days with artificial lungs. Dead serious. A man needed to be had a debilitating condition where his lungs needed to be replaced, both of his lungs. Doctors were able to go ahead and create a device that breathed for him with an empty chest cavity, with his lungs gone, and we're able to keep him alive for 24 hours, long enough for a double lung transplant to be successful. This isn't any sort of crazy, any sort of crazy, oh, it's technically, just in research, or, oh, it's just it's just a theory sort of thing. Oh, it worked well in a lab. No. Done in the field, in the ER, or actually more likely in the ICU, but actually done in a hospital. I don't know how these guys went ahead and did it. I'm clearly not qualified to go ahead and have this done. But man, it is impressive. Folks, that is going to do it for this episode of... I hit the wrong button and ended the episode early. I hit the end instead of the intro thing. All right. 3, 2, 1. Folks, that's going to do it for this episode of Eagle Eyes on Tech. Thank you so much for listening, and I encourage you to check out my other works, youtube.com/EagleFalcon and twitch.tv/EagleFalcon, where I do stream pretty much every single day. If there is a weird cut, because I don't know how this is going to look on the editing board, I definitely did not accidentally hit the end stream button and then manually injected in this outro so it seems slightly smoother. And I'm not gonna lie, I mainly went ahead and recorded an outro anyway because it'd be way funnier. Take care, and I hope you have a good day. There is something oddly ironic about having the ending of a podcast be ultra scuffed right after talking about medical professionals, quite frankly, pulling off a miracle in keeping a guy alive for 48 hours with no lungs. I mean, you just compare the amount of skill. My oopsie whoopsie, I hit the wrong button and now everything's ruined, compared to, I can't believe these guys kept a guy alive with a giant hole in his chest. Clearly, it's all just a massive skill issue. That's it. Podcast is now officially in the books. We're going to go ahead and take a break here. Not a very long one, though, because raid starts in 2 minutes. Get up and stretch. We'll be back.